Today on North Carolina Law TV, David Daggett, injury and disability lawyer from Daggett Schuler Law out of Winston-Salem, talks to us about drunk and impaired driving.
In the time that we do this show today, somebody will die of a drunk driving death, and 6 to 8 people will be seriously injured due to a drunk driving incident. Sometimes when you're impaired, you take greater risks than you should take. All of that puts you and the public at danger. The other thing that I don't think we think of on a regular basis is who's all affected when a tragedy occurs in a driving while impaired situation. Because it's not just the two drivers, it's their families, their friends, the passengers in the car. They leave a whole trail of trauma in their wake.
That's all next on this episode of North Carolina Law TV. Every year, over 10,000 people die in drunk driving accidents in the United States. That's an average of about 1 person per hour. And hundreds and thousands of others are injured in alcohol-related car accidents. Annually, the monetary cost of DWI car crashes rings up to a staggering $37 billion. Similar, other controlled substances such as illegal drugs are a factor in almost 18% of car driver deaths. We have come a long way since the first drunk driving laws were established as early as 1907. But clearly, drunk and impaired driving is still a major issue affecting our country today, and it requires discussion. David Daggett is here today to answer questions about drunk and impaired driving and how we can protect ourselves and our children from the dangers presented by drunk drivers on the road. David, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me today.
So first of all, let's just establish the difference between DUI and DWI.
Well, DWI and DUI are basically the same. In North Carolina, it's DWI, driving while impaired. Some states have DUI, which is driving under the influence. Historically, that was influence of alcohol, but now it's influence of alcohol and drugs. And just to throw in more alphabet soup, some states still have OVWI, operating a vehicle while impaired. So, but they're all the same. It's impaired driving from alcohol or drugs. It's a major, major issue in the United States. The statistics you reported, very, very high. In the time that we do this show today, somebody will die of a drunk driving death, and 6 to 8 people will be seriously injured due to a drunk driving incident. So it's a major problem.
It is, and so it's really under the influence of something that's going to change the way and your ability to drive safely.
Yeah, it's impairing your faculties, your mental faculties, impairing your ability to use proper judgment, your reaction time. Sometimes when you're impaired, you take greater risks than you should take. All of that puts you and the public at danger.
And anyone that's around you.
Anybody that's around you.
Now, can it be something other than operating a car that this fits
Well, sure.
under?
Yeah. In fact, there's a case in North Carolina, went to the appellate courts of a person who was convicted of DWI riding a horse.
Riding a horse.
Riding a horse. So there's other states where horses don't apply, but North Carolina, you can be held accountable DWI while riding a horse. The other thing that I don't think we think of on a regular basis is who's all affected when a tragedy occurs in a driving while impaired situation. Because it's not just the two drivers, it's their families, their friends, the passengers in the car. They leave a whole trail of trauma in their wake. And it's preventable. That's the thing, it's preventable. It's something very easy to prevent or avoid.
Well, you know, the highest population that is involved in this type of accidents are people under 25 years of age.
Yes,
and
young
so,
people.
Right, and so I know that you work with children, and so starting with adolescents of that and young adults of that age to start them thinking about this and making good choices.
Right.
And tell me what that program is called.
It's called Safe Sober Prom Night. I'm a founder of the Safe Sober Prom Night program, going into our 25th year. We've reached over 500,000 students during that period of time. And that's kind of threefold. Number one is repeating the message of awareness, awareness of the dangers of drugs and alcohol, and for parents and the community, awareness of what our young people are going through and why they turn to alcohol and drugs.
Okay.
Second is to encourage an atmosphere of positive peer pressure. Peer pressure is an enormous pressure on our young people today, and a lot of it's negative. Now, the nice thing about peer pressure is you can turn it into a positive, and it's just as powerful. And the third is wrapping our collective arms of encouragement and support around our young people to make better choices today for a better future tomorrow.
And so it's not only, there's not an education piece, and typically when we think about that, we think about educating the adolescent or young adult, but you are also educating the adults, their families, about what those kids might be experiencing in terms of peer pressure, in terms of how much this is occurring.
Yeah, the awareness piece, there's the both sides, awareness of the dangers, but awareness of what young people are going through and the pressures that they have on them. And you know, I've heard from my kids, Dad, you just don't understand.
Right.
Well, I probably don't, because times are different today than they were way back then. But we need to take some time to communicate and to understand. And that doesn't just apply with children. You know, drinking and driving, it applies with adults too.
So how does it apply with adults?
Well, we can be supporters and encouragers with our adult friends not to drink and drive. If we're hosting parties, we can have alternative beverages and snacks and games and activities so that the center of attention isn't drinking.
Well, it sounds like you put a lot of work into this and also really supporting the community, and that's a lot of kids going through this. So
well,
I'm
it's
sure
a
they
passion for
appreciate
young
it.
people.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love kids. And
it's a passion for you to work with them and help them make good choices, it sounds
and,
like.
and you know, I've been in a unique position. I've seen both sides of the tragedy and what's left in the wake on both sides.
Right.
So a young person ruining their life through one bad decision, or an adult.
Right.
And then the lives that are shattered on the other side. Very, very traumatic.
So if it's preventable,
Very
then
preventable.
let's do it. Then let's
It's
do
very
it.
preventable.
Thanks so much for sharing
Thanks
with
for
us
having me.
about that. I appreciate it. If you or someone you know has been injured or killed in an impaired driver accident, you can call David's office at 336-724-1234. Until next time, this is Nancy Hollett for North Carolina Law TV.